Look with me this morning. We're going to be in 2 Kings chapter number 4. We're going to hang out starting at verse 1. We'll go through on to verse number 7. 2 Kings chapter 4. As we continue this series we've been on called Built Different. Hopefully, if you've missed any of this series, you've been at least keeping up online. I know we're kind of getting into spring, summer mode, and people are traveling. People have a lot of things going on. I encourage you as you do that, stay connected, stay plugged into the Word. If you're gone on a trip, we have the sermons. They're always posted online. You can find them on the Elevation Point Church website. You can download the Elevation Point Church app on iPhone or Android. You can listen on the podcast, but I encourage you, stay plugged into the Word, stay connected to what God is doing at your local church as you travel and whatnot throughout these summer months. But we've been in this series, Built Different, looking at how we as followers of Jesus are built different, right, than others. And so we've been celebrating all that God has called us to be, but also looking at the hard truths that sometimes it is not easy to walk this journey. It is not easy to continue to live all the time and make the right decisions, do the right things, but we are called to be built different. And we're going to look this morning at a lady in 2 Kings chapter 4 who has two sons, right, that are there, and she has recently lost her husband, as we'll see in just a moment. She loves her sons. She's because of losing her husband, now the creditors are coming and they're saying they're going to take everything away from her, including her sons. And so she goes to Elisha, the man of God. And how many are thankful for a mom who knew where to turn? Right? When life got hard, when life got difficult, who knew where to turn? She turns to the Lord. She goes to Elisha. And that's where we're going to pick up in verse number 1. It says, the wife of a man from the company of the prophets cried out to Elisha, your servant, my husband, is dead, and you know that he revered the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take my 2 boys as his slaves. Now there's one thing that I know. It is that you do not mess with the mom's kids. You do not mess with mother's kids, right? Like I know in my own life, right? It's like a completely different person. I've seen my mom turn into a completely different person if somebody messed with me or said something about me, right? How many could testify to that? You've seen that side of your mom. It's like, oh no. Like right in the first service, somebody, when I said you don't mess with, someone's kids, they went, period. I was like, yes, that's the energy, right? Period. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. There's no, I was having a bad day. There's no, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Even with my wife, Nicole, she is just so like happy and like calm, like a butterfly, like floating through life, and everybody is just happy and rainbows and all these things. But even with her, I've seen if somebody messes with our 3 boys or one of them, it's like just, shoom. I'm like, I don't want to see that side myself. So we're good, right? Even a few other day, we were out somewhere and somebody walked in who had done something that kind of affected one of our sons. And so we were out at this place of business and I was like, hey babe, they're over there. We need to go talk to them. She was like, no, we don't. No, we don't. I was like, yeah, we do. We got to show grace. She's like, okay. Because it's just, you get in defense mode, right? And so they're messing with this mother's sons and they're saying they're going to take them away. And so she rears up and she goes to Elisha, and Elisha in verse 2 replied to her, how can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? Your servant has nothing there at all, she said, except a small jar of olive oil. And Elisha said, go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Then go outside, shut the door behind you, and go behind you and your sons, pour oil into all the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side. And she left him and shut the door behind her and her sons, and they brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. I find it fascinating that Elisha told her what to do, told her what God said to do, and then she just went and left Elisha. He didn't have to go with her. He didn't have to show up with her. She went and did it. Why? Because when God gives you an instruction, you don't need a pastor or a prophet or an evangelist or somebody else to come with you and see you do it. All you got to do is use the power that God has given you. If he's given you an instruction, he gave you the power to see that instruction come through. So he told her what to do. God spoke and told her what to do. She went and she did it. In verse 6, it says, when all the jars were full, she said to her son, bring me another one. But he replied, there is not a jar left. And then the oil stopped flowing. And she went and told the man of God, and he said, go, sell the oil and pay your debts. You and your sons can live on what is left. Now, I cannot imagine how this widow had to be feeling in this moment. She has lost her husband. She's lost everything else. And now they're saying they're going to take her sons. You ever heard the phrase, when it rains, it pours? Right? For this lady, it's not just raining or pouring, it's monsooning. And in those kind of moments, it's easy for us to get to a place where we feel like I have nothing left to give. I have nothing left to offer. I have nothing left to pour out. I have nothing left to do. I can't do it, which is exactly what she said here. She said, your servant has nothing at all. Nothing at all. And it's easy for us in these moments to feel like, God, I want to, and I wish I could, and I would love to help, and I would love to do what you're calling me to do. But God, I've got nothing left to pour out. And it doesn't always have to be dramatic either. It doesn't have to be the big moments. Sometimes it could just be like a culmination of little things, right? Like you overslept, and then there was traffic on the way to work, and then you spilt coffee on yourself in the car, and then you got to work, and your boss was being a boss, and you had a bad day at work, then you had traffic on the way back home, and then the kids aren't acting right, then you burn dinner, and then you break a plate. It's like all these things, right? And it's just like, God, I just can't do it. I'm tired, I'm worn out, I'm depleted, I'm exhausted, and it's easy for us in those moments to feel like we have nothing left to give, nothing left to offer. And here is what happens so often is because we get so focused on everything else going on, we overlook what God has given us to provide the answer in that moment. Because we get so consumed with what we're facing and what we're experiencing and what we're going through and the bad news and the struggles and the difficulties, we overlook what we have left that God has placed there for such a moment as that. And so I want to talk to you this morning on this subject. If you're taking notes, you can write this down. Don't overlook it. Don't overlook it. Let's pray. God, we thank you for today. We thank you for your word. We thank you for each and every lady that is here this morning, everyone joining online. I pray, Lord, that you would bless them. Lord, we thank you for who they are, all they've done. Lord, I pray that you would just give them strength, give them encouragement today. Give all of us strength, give all of us encouragement. I pray that you would speak to our hearts. Help us to hear from you. Help us to apply what is spoken to our lives. Help nobody to see or hear from me, but to see and hear from you. And I thank you for it in Jesus' name. And everyone said, amen. Amen. Now, have you ever had a time where you did something nice to help somebody out and it backfired? Anybody, right? You ever done something nice with somebody that backfired? I know early on, Nicole and I, when we had been married for maybe like 2 years or a little bit less, our oldest son, Judah, was the only one we had. Now, this is when we were young and naive, and we thought life was stressful and chaotic and difficult in that moment with one kid. Then we now have 3, right? So now we're like, oh, that was a breeze. But I remember when we had 1, we were like, no, we can't go to restaurants. We can't go to that. We can't do this. It's too much. And now when you have 3, it's just like, it is what it is. I mean, we're just going to let the circus come to town. You know, y'all hope y'all ready. We're paying to eat, so y'all just going to put up. They're going to be running around, right? But when we were in that stage, though, it was like, oh, no, we're not used to having a baby. We didn't know what to do. And the little backstory is on Mondays and Tuesdays, I would take Judah to my parents to watch him. On Thursdays and Fridays, Nicole would take Judah on her way to work for her parents because they lived over close to her work to watch them. But on Mondays and Tuesdays, on her way home, on her way to pick up Judah, she would stop and she would go to the gym. But there were some days where she got stuck at work late, right? Because she's like that overachiever. Y'all know how it is, right? Your boss is like, hey, I need you to get this done. And then if you leave before getting, like, even though it's time at the end of the day and you're like, well, you know, I'm not getting paid overtime, anything like, but then it's like, well, you're not trying hard enough. So, right, so you kind of got that balance. And so she would always stay late if they needed her to stay late. And so she had this one day that she was like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to go to the gym. I gotta stay late to work. And I told her, I said, hey, don't worry about it. I'm going to take off early. I'm going to leave the church early because normally I didn't leave the church till 5 or 5:30, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, just depended. But I was like, I'm going to leave the church early. I'll go get Judah. It's going to be okay. You can go to the gym, enjoy your afternoon, right? I'm just trying to, it was a husband win, y'all. Wasn't even Mother's Day. It was just a husband win, right? I'm just like, I got this. I got the time to do it. It's going to be good. It was a husband win. It was a dad fail. All right, because I go and I pick up Judah, and he's an infant. Like, this is like the first time I had him by myself. And so I go and I pick up Judah, and on the drive home, he was quiet. And I was like, thank you, Jesus. Like, won't he do it, right? And so we're driving home, and everything's good, and he's quiet, and I even jinxed it. I said, man, this is going to be awesome. I knew I had this. And we get home, and when we walk in the door, Jesus be offense, he starts just screaming, and he's crying, and he's inconsolable. And so I start thinking, WWND, right? What would Nicole do? And so I start going, and I'm like, okay, the first thing she would do is she would feed him. Can't do it. So I got to go to the freezer, right? So I go to the freezer, and I get the milk out of there, and I'm like letting it thaw out. So I have it thawing, but this is a 911 emergency, right? He won't stop screaming. He's crying. I'm afraid. I'm like, he's going to like scream until his head explodes. Then Nicole's going to come home and wait, what happened to my baby? And then I'm going to be figuring this out. So I was like, I got to get him to stop crying. So I'm doing everything I can, and I'm checking his diaper. His diaper's clean. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. Maybe he don't like the fit. We're changing the diaper anyways. Maybe it's itchy. I don't know. Changed his diaper, kept crying. So then I sang to him, I surrender all. Then he starts crying harder. It's like, no, it's terrible. So then I like take him and I put him in the little like walker like thing that you walk. And he's like 2 months old. So his head's like this. And I was like, all right, man, that don't work. So I take him back out of that. Then I lay him on the play mat thinking that's going to work. Nothing worked. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't want to bother Nicole. I want to seem like, yeah, she married the right guy who's going to actually be able to help her raise a family. So I got this, put my brave face on, and I literally just in that moment, I was just like, I can't do anything. I'm looking at him like, dude, I can't do anything. What do you want? And he's just like, meh. So I was like, okay. So in a moment of just like hysteria, you ever had a moment where you're just laughing because you're going crazy? I was like, ha, 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 ha. Like literally, like, y'all should be concerned. And so I pick him up, and I take him, and I did Lion King. You know what I mean? I held him up to pray over him. I'm a pastor. I'm like, why didn't I think of this first? So I just take him and I'm like, Lord. And when I lift him up, I lift him up to the sky, and all of a sudden, he starts laughing. So I bring him down. He starts crying. I lift him back up. He's laughing. So then I did this like 10 times, and he's giggling, he's laughing, and I'm like, let's go. I've conquered the beast here. I've got it handled. And when I brought him down after the 10th time, I'm like, oh, thank goodness. He looks at me and then just starts screaming, crying again. So y'all, anybody that's a parent, been around parents, worked in a school, nothing, anything, daycare, whatever, you do what you got to do. So for the next 20 minutes, I was just doing this, right? For 20 minutes. And then Nicole walked in. He's laughing. He's giggling. And I'm like, see, I told you I got this, right? I was good. But before I did that, I said, I can't do anything. You ever reach that point? I can't do anything. Nothing's working. I can't do anything. That's what I said. I can't do anything. But you know what I did after I said that? Something. I said, I can't do anything. But then I did something. And to me, it seemed insignificant, and it seemed small, and it seemed like nothing, but the truth is it was something. And what God was trying to help this lady understand in 2 Kings 4 is even though she felt like she had nothing at all to offer, she still had something. And if you're taking notes, that's the first thing to write down today, is it may not be everything, but it's something. It may not be what you wanted, but it's something. You may not think it's enough, but it's something. It's something. It says in verse 2, Elisha replied to her, how can I help you? Tell me, what do you have in your house? Your servant, look what she says. This blows my mind. Your servant has nothing there at all, she said. Except, how many are thankful for the exception? She said, your servant has nothing there at all. I'm at the end of my rope. I'm going to lose everything. I'm tired. I'm worn out. I've been fighting. I've been beat down. I have nothing at all except a small jar of oil. Here's the thing, is Elisha asked her, what do you have? He did not look to her and say, hey, what do you not have? He said, what do you have? And her reaction, her response was not what she had, but what she didn't have. Why? Because that is what we default to. What we don't have. Why we can't do it. Why we don't have the answer. Why we don't have the solution. We show up, God says, hey, what do you have to offer? And we say, well, I tell you what I don't have. I ain't got no man. Tell you what I don't have. Ain't got my bills paid. Tell you what I don't have the job I wanted. I tell you what I don't have the Bible that I need. We start talking about what we don't have instead of acknowledging what we do have. Elisha said, what do you have in the house? Because God is not concerned about what you don't have. He's just looking for you to bring what you do have. And the enemy is the one who is concerned and focused on trying to get you to look at what you do not have. See, God is saying, what do you have? The enemy says, hey, look at what you don't have. And the reason he wants you to get focused on what you don't have is because if he can get you looking at what you do not have and feeling like you don't have nothing, then you won't use what God has given you. He said, what do you have? And a lot of times, the only thing that's holding us back is us being obsessed with what we don't have. The only thing holding us back is us looking over there and saying, I tell you what I don't have, what they have. I tell you what I don't have, what I had before I messed up. I tell you what I don't have, what I had before I lost. I tell you what I don't have, what I wish that I would have had. I tell you what I don't have, what I dreamed about as a child. I don't have that. And God is saying, I'm not looking for what you don't have. I'm looking for what you do have. But we get so consumed and so focused on what we don't have to offer that we don't bring what we do have. It's like, God, I don't have a past that I'm proud of. Okay, but you do have a future. God, I don't have the education that I need. Okay, but you do have the life experience, and you do have the wisdom, and you do have the understanding that God has given you. God, I don't have the perfect family. That's cool. Nobody does. If you think your family doesn't have a crazy person, guess what? It's you, right? Every family has its things. No family is perfect. Talking about my family's perfect. All I needed to know, thank you, I'm going over here to have a conversation. No family is perfect, but at least you have a family. And when God is involved in your life and what he's doing, and an imperfect something or a small something or an insignificant something is better than nothing. When God is involved, it's better than nothing. And I believe God wants somebody in this place or somebody online to stop focusing on what you don't have and start using what you do have. Stop focusing on what you don't have and start acknowledging what you do have, because it is something. It's something. Well, I didn't grow up in church. Great. God wanted you right now in this moment to make a decision to follow him and to do the things you're doing. It does not matter what you don't have. It's about what you do have. Don't underestimate the small things. Elisha said, what do you have? And the first thing she said is, I have nothing at all. But she did have something. She said, I have nothing at all, but she had something. Why didn't she tell him up front? Before saying, I have nothing at all, when he said, what do you have? Why didn't she just say, hey, I got a small jar of oil? Because she didn't think it was good enough to do what God was wanting to do. She didn't think it was enough to do what God was wanting to do. She viewed the small jar of oil as an afterthought. She viewed it as insignificant. She viewed it as something that did not matter because she felt like what she needed was bigger than what God said she needed. God never said she needed to have it all. He just said she needed to bring what she had. He didn't say she needed to have the full answer. He just said, I need you to bring me something. What do you have? Look at your neighbor, ask him, what do you have? What do you have? Stop living our lives out of a mindset of what we don't have or what we wish we had and start looking at the little bit we do have to offer and say, it's something. God, I don't have everything, but it's something. God, I don't have everything I wanted, but it's something. I don't have everything that I wish I would have, but it is something. And many of us, we have exactly what we need for God to do what he wants to do, but we won't bring it because we don't think that it's enough. Or other people have told us that it's not enough. Do you realize that if this lady would have gone to anybody else besides Elisha and said, hey, I have a small jar of oil, they would have told her it did not equate anything. She would have said, hey, I've got a small jar of oil, so can my sons please be free? They would have said it's worthless. If she would have said, I got a small jar of oil, so I've got enough food, they would have said it's pointless. They would have said it's meaningless. They would have said it's insignificant, which is why you cannot find your value in the opinions of people. Because the opinions of people will never give you the value that God gave you. It does not matter what anybody says or what anybody thinks or what anybody else is telling other people. The value in your life comes from God and him alone. I don't care if you finish in 3rd place, 7th place, if you don't even finish, it does not matter. God said you are valuable. God said your life matters. God said you are important. God said there is a reason that you are here. There is a purpose. There is a plan. And if nobody else sees it, God does. If nobody else understands it, God does. And he said, you're valuable. Stop looking to likes and social media and clout and people and influence to tell you that you're worth something. Jesus died on the cross for you so that you could spend eternity with him. And there is no greater value than to give your life. He said you're valuable. And if she would have brought it, the oil, they would have said, no, it's not worth anything. Because the enemy will try to convince you that what you have is worthless. And because you think that what you have is worthless, what you think is that when you think that what you have is nothing to offer, then we begin to think that because we have nothing to offer, it makes us think that we're not enough, or that we don't matter, or that we're not valuable, or that we're unimportant. But just because it's not valuable to somebody else doesn't mean it's not valuable to God. Just because it doesn't matter to somebody else doesn't mean it doesn't matter to God. Listen to me, church, especially ladies in the house. Even if nobody else can see the value and worth in your life, you are valuable, you matter, you are loved, you are important, you have a purpose, you have a calling, you have a plan. There is a reason you are here. You are valuable. It does not matter what anybody says. It doesn't matter how anybody treats you. It doesn't matter if anybody left you. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. All that matters is God said you are valuable. You may not have even had the best example of a mother growing up, but that doesn't mean that you are or will be a bad mother. You might have feel like you're tired and you're depleted, but a tired and depleted you is still valuable. A tired and worn out you is still valuable. You know why? Because it's something. A tired you is something. It's something. And guess what? Something is not nothing. Something is something. A discouraged you is still something. A worn out you is still something. A sad you is still something. A crying you is still something. And something is not nothing. Something is something. And it matters. And we got to stop looking at what we feel like we don't have and allowing that to dictate what we believe about who God has called us to be and what God is wanting to do in and through our lives. God did not say that he needs it all. He just said he needs something. Elisha did not tell her, hey, I need you to bring me all the oil that there is. He said, I need something. He didn't say, tell me what you don't have. He said, tell me what you have. Anything at all. Anything at all. He didn't say you have to have everything. He just said you need something. Because if we came to God with everything that we needed, there would be nothing for him to do. If we approached him with all the answers, if we had it all figured out, if we were living everything perfect and doing everything wonderful and everything was great and all tiptoe and tulips and all it was just wonderful, perfect, awesome, there would be nothing for him to do. God says, bring me what's left and I will fix it. Bring me what's left and I will make you whole. It is not up to us to fix it. It is up to us to bring it. To say, God, it's not enough to do it on my own, but I believe that with you, it will be. Elisha, he said, bring me whatever you have, no matter how small it is. And then the second thing he said is bring what's empty. Bring what's empty. Second thing to write down, bring what's empty. In verse number 3, Elisha said, go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. He said, go ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Not just a few, but ask your neighbors for empty jars. Why did he want empty jars? Why empty jars? Because you cannot fill what is already full. And I know we've heard this saying before, right? You cannot pour from an empty cup. And that's an important one to remember because you can't. But you cannot fill a full cup either. And for many of us, we're praying and we're asking God to do things in our lives, and he can't do it because it's already full of what we've put in there. He's trying to show up and do things in our lives, but he can't fill our lives up because we filled it with everything else. We filled it with our pride. We filled it with our ego. We filled it with our insecurity. We filled it with the opinions of people. We filled it with all these things. And we're like, God, fill me up. God, do what only you can do. Show up in my life. Move in a powerful way. Do it. And we're holding on so tightly to things that add no eternal value. No eternal value. And we're holding on so tightly like, God, fill me up. God, help me. And God is saying, I'm trying to, but I can't because your hands are gripped tight around what you filled your life with trying to find the answer. What you filled your life with trying to find the solution. The relationship that you filled your life with. The bad habits that you filled your life with. The opinions of people that you filled your life with. The unforgiveness that you filled your life with. The things that you filled your life with trying to get to the answer is the very thing that is preventing you from being able to be filled up by what God says is the answer. Elisha said, I don't want you to bring me full jars. I want you to bring me empty jars. I want you to bring me something that is so empty that you can know that only God did it. That it was not you, that it was not your sons, that it was not me, that it wasn't anybody, but it was God and God alone. Bring me what's empty so that it can be filled. And some of us, we need to spiritually have a little bit of a dump out of stuff. We need to take our cup and we need to pour some things out. We have some things that we've been carrying around that have us filled up and we feel good in the moment. And come on, like somebody like, I'm the man in the moment. I'm the woman in the moment. Like it's awesome in the moment, but we don't realize that we're so full of these things that do not matter in eternity. And we're missing what God is trying to fill us with that will bring purpose and potential and calling and the fulfillment of his plan. But we're so full of everything else. Don't get me wrong, it feels good. When that relationship is good and everything's wonderful, we feel good and full, but what happens when they leave? And we're still trying to hold on to relationship, trying to do anything we can and manipulate who we know that we're supposed to be in Christ to try to hold on to that relationship. Try to hold on to this experience. Try to hold on to, God says you got to pour some things out that you've been bringing in to try to fill the void that only he was meant to fill. Pour some things out that you've been filling up that really was meant for him, because God cannot fill what is already full. He cannot fill what is already full. And my favorite part of that verse, though, is that he says, don't just bring a few. Don't just bring a few. I love this. He says, I want you to bring me empty jars, and I don't want you to bring me a few, because isn't this what we tend to do? We tend to say, God, I'm believing you're going to do something in my life. God, I'm believing that you're going to show up. God, I'm believing you're going to fulfill it. Do what only you can do. And here's how I'm preparing. God, I'm believing you're going to show up above and beyond anything I could ask, think, or imagine. And here's how I'm preparing. Here's what because even though we say we believe God, the truth is many of us, we still have our doubts. And because we have our doubts, we don't want to be embarrassed. We don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to be let down. So we're like, God, I'm believing that you're going to do it, and I'm just going to bring one little bitty jar. But your level of expectation determines your level of preparation, and your level of preparation determines what God will do. The level of preparation in your life determines what God will match. God will match the level of your preparation. And he said, don't just bring a few. Expect God's best and prepare for God's best. Bring jar after jar after jar. Come ready to receive more than enough. Not just enough, not just a little, but more than enough. So this lady, she gets to this place where she has the oil, she has all these things, and she gets there, she gets ready, and then Elisha tells her one final instruction, and it's an important one. In verse number 4 and 5, he says, then go inside and shut the door behind you and your sons. Pour oil into all the jars, and as each is filled, put it to one side. She left him, and look at this, shut the door behind her and her sons. And they brought the jars to her, and she kept pouring. Last thing to see is a difficult one, but it is important. You need to value unseen moments. Value unseen moments. We're so consumed and obsessed with things that are seen, what people see, what people think about what they see. We're so consumed with it, but we gotta value. Elisha told her, he said, shut the door. Close the door. In other words, I don't want anybody else to see what is going on. Why? Because many times we need to shut the door so that we can block out the discouragement, so that we can block out the negativity, so that we can block out the doubting, because some of God's greatest miracles happen in private. Some of God's greatest miracles happen in a place that nobody else knows about. Nobody else understands. Nobody else can explain. Just because it's not seen doesn't mean that God is not doing it. Just because it's not seen even by others or close to you doesn't mean that God is not doing it. And you need to value the unseen moments. It doesn't matter if somebody told you, I thought you said God was going to do this. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they can't see it. Doesn't matter if they don't understand it. Value the unseen moments. In our house, we play wiffle ball. If you're not familiar with it, it's like a little plastic ball about this big, like a baseball, and it has holes all in it, and you use like the little small plastic bat. And so we played a lot in the backyard. And we had, last year we bought them like, this little pack of the 12 wiffle balls and the bat that comes together, and off of Amazon, not Walmart. Is maybe like 5 cents more expensive on Amazon, but I didn't have to go into Walmart. So we got it off Amazon, and it came in. And when it came in, we had it, and we played with it for all of this, probably 6 months or whatever. And we ended up losing. I say we, right? But I want to be clear that I don't really lose the wiffle balls. But our son Judah, when I was like, hey boys, y'all lost all the wiffle balls, he was like, no, you lost them. I was like, I didn't lose them. He said, yeah, you did. Remember when you hit that one out of 12? You remember when you hit that one at the beach last year up onto the third level and didn't go and get it because you didn't want to have to knock on those people's door? And I was like, yeah. He was like, you lost the wiffle balls. And I was like, bro, okay, I'm gonna let it slide because I love you. So I was like, okay, fine, I'll get y'all some more wiffle balls. So we got 12 new wiffle balls, but here's the thing, I put them all in one box. It was like, we're not doing this again. We're not losing more wiffle balls. Bought them, put them in this box, and I said, every time you finish playing, I want all the wiffle balls in the box. Crazy concept, right? You use the ball, you're done with it, what do? Back in the box. 2 days after these wiffle balls came in, I'm counting them. See, I inspect what I expect. So I'm looking in this box and I'm counting and I'm like, there's only 9 wiffle balls in here, which means 3 are missing. So I call the boys out. I'm like, Judah, Elijah, I don't even worry about Noah. He's more of a distraction, really. So I'm like, yeah. Judah, Eli, y'all got to find these wiffle balls. But Dad, can we do? No, we ain't doing nothing. We're not playing games. We're not watching TV. We're not eating until we find the wiffle ball. No, I'm just kidding. But I was like, we got to find the wiffle balls. They're like, okay. So they go and they found the first two pretty quickly. But then they couldn't find the third one. And I was like, my goodness, like, I guess y'all lost one. And Judah was like, no, I'll find it. I was like, no, you've lost it. It's gone. He was like, no, I promise. Like, I'll find it. And then the more they thought, he said, I think it's in Mom's car. And I was like, that makes no sense. No sense. He's like, no, I think it is. Can we check? So I open up the back, and sure enough, the third and final missing wiffle ball is right there in the back of her car. But see, what I'm trying to get you to understand is that just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that it wasn't there. Just because people can't see what God is doing in your life doesn't mean it's not there. Just because they can't see what's happening in your life doesn't mean that God's not doing it. We got to get to a place where we understand, even if they can't see it, it's not for them to see, it's just for God to do. It's not for them to understand, it's just for God to do. Even though no one else could see what God was doing behind closed doors for her, God was taking the little bit of oil that she had, and he created overflow out of the little bit that she had behind closed doors. Everybody else is outside the house and they're thinking, man, she's done for. She's going to lose her sons. She's already lost everything else. It's all gone. And behind closed doors, God was saying, no, I'm bringing overflow to your life. I'm doing more than you could imagine. I'm doing more than anybody thought. I'm doing more than anybody expected. I'm doing more than anybody could ask or comprehend. But they don't get to see it until I'm done doing it. And none of this would have happened, by the way, if she would have stuck to her guns when she said, your servant has nothing at all. She would have looked at Elisha, I have nothing. The saving grace of this story is the fact that she was willing to say, I have nothing to offer except a small jar of oil. She let in, I have nothing. Because this is how we feel many times. I got nothing to give. I have nothing to offer. Kids are driving me crazy. The bills are piling up. My job is not great. I've got nothing. What's for dinner tonight? I don't know. Go find something, right? Like, I've got nothing to offer. What are we going to do this weekend? I've got nothing. That's what we feel many times. I've got nothing to offer except this little praise. It's not much, but God, I can praise a little bit. I've got nothing left to offer except, God, I guess I can open my Bible and read through and see. I've got nothing left, but I do have something. God, I don't have it all, but I have something. I don't have everything I wish that I had, but I have something. I don't have all the answers that I wanted to have, but I have something. I don't have all the energy that I need, but I have something. I don't have all the solutions, but God, I have something. I have something. She said, your servant has nothing at all, but except a small jar of oil. And my question this morning is, what in your life have you been overlooking that God is wanting to use? What in your life have you been overlooking because it seemed insignificant? What have you been overlooking because it does not seem to matter? What have you been overlooking because it's not important to anybody else? What have you been overlooking because nobody else cares? What have you been overlooking because even you don't care? Because you convinced yourself that all you had to offer was nothing. God, I made too many mistakes. I messed up. People have left me. I've left probably some of the people I should have been with. God, I've done all of these things and I have nothing left to give. And God says you do. Because if you had nothing left to give, you wouldn't still be on this earth. If you had nothing left to give, I wouldn't still be giving you a purpose and a call. What have you been overlooking? What have you gotten so consumed with what you didn't have or what you wish could have, or maybe you've even gotten consumed with the wrong things, but you're overlooking the small jar of oil.